Thank you, Julie. Good morning. I am Zoe Laidlaw, and it is my joy to welcome you to this worship service of Rogue Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Ashland, Oregon. Whether you are in the Great Hall or joining us online, we are glad to have you with us today. And we invite you to join us in our mission, embracing diversity, empowering connection, and engaging in the work. Our minister, Reverend Sean Dennison Parker, is on study vacation leave and will return to the pulpit on August 11. Today, we have Reverend Nikki Hunt from Portland as our guest speaker. It takes many people to create this experience. We thank all of our staff and volunteers for their contributions. If you are a newcomer, we invite you to sign up for our mailing list on rvuuf.org. You will receive a weekly email that gives you all the information you need to make your decision about whether you'd like to join us online or on site on Sunday morning. You will also learn about other great things going on here at RUF. As we begin our service today, we acknowledge that we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. We honor all those seekers of wisdom and compassion, people of various spiritual traditions who understand the sacredness of all life, including the indigenous Americans whose ancestral home was this land. Research indicates that people go to church for 3 reasons: intimacy, connection, and the opportunity to make a difference in the world. I'm part of RUF because here I connect with people who, like me, are trying to be their best and trying to do what they can to make the world a better place. And I hear speakers who help me with that too. I know each of you has your own reasons for being here. May this morning provide you with something that resonates in your heart and mind. Welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Flame of fire, spark. Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearth. Agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom. We strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So today, as you can see, we don't have a pianist except me. So the choir, or parts of the choir, are here this morning, and they're going to help you out by turning around and singing into the congregation, so you'll have lots of hearty sound. So please open your gray hymnal to tune number 19, The Sun That Shines. Please rise in body or spirit. I'm going to play an intro, and off we go.
Good morning. I'm Daniel Guy, and Bill Montfort and I are representing the Anti-Racism Study Group here at ROOF. You may have, for our anti-racism candle lighting, you may have noticed that we do these ritual candle lightings every Sunday. We do them to remind ourselves of core truths we believe are essential to our Unitarian Universalist faith. It is now more than 400 years since the first group of 20-plus Africans were transported shackled in chains to the shores of the English colony of Virginia by Portuguese slave traders. 2 weeks ago, I experienced an epiphany showing me how far we still must travel if our nation is ever to arrive at something more than a merely superficial semblance of justice. My wife and I were in the town of Olive Branch in North Mississippi to attend a Black family reunion, our second time at this biennial event. Once again, we were awestruck by the amazing detail and care demonstrated by event volunteers who had displayed historical documents and vintage photographs on long tables and walls, showing multiple aspects of family history, from slavery, Civil War, and Reconstruction through the repression and violence of white supremacy. Among the photographs of graduates and family members in camouflage uniforms, I noticed that a lot of the more recent ones were of young Black women in uniform. This observation pricked the curiosity of a former infantry officer enough to require immediate online research, which fully verified what I saw and showed me how out of touch I had become. Today, July 28th, 2024, the largest racial and gender demographics serving in infantry units of the Army and Marine Corps is now composed of Black women. What does this say about our country and the lack of opportunity for African American women that so many would willingly choose a career path in the military despite all the well-publicized cases of sexual harassment and violence? While we were in Mississippi, we heard no discussion of current politics, but I cannot help but wonder, what would it mean to these young women, their siblings, and parents to at last have a commander-in-chief in which they could see themselves in?
Each Sunday, when we gather, we light a candle for peace. We honor and hold a vision of peace in our hearts, peace in our relationships, peace in our communities, and peace in the world. Today's quote is by Sarah Durham Wilson. "The way you alchemize a soulless world into a sacred world is by treating everyone as if they are sacred, until the sacred in them remembers."
anyone who would like to come join me, I'm going to read a story. The children or those young at heart may come down here, and I'm going to share The Other Way to Listen by Bird Baylor, and Peter Parnell did the illustrations. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. So, like I said, this is The Other Way to Listen. So it's about listening. I used to know an old man who could walk by any cornfield and hear the corn singing. Teach me, I'd say, when we passed on by. I never said a word while he was listening. Just tell me how you learned to hear that corn. And he'd say, it takes a lot of practice. You can't be in a hurry. And I'd say, I have the time. He was so good at listening. Once he heard wildflower seeds burst open, beginning to grow underground. That's hard to do. He said he was just lucky to have been there by himself up in the canyon after a rain. I said, I bet you were surprised to hear when you heard those seeds. But he said, no, I wasn't surprised at all. It seemed like the most natural thing in the world. He just smiled, remembering. Another time he heard a rock kind of murmur good things to a lizard. I was there. We saw the lizard sunning on a rock. Of course we stopped. The old man said, I wonder how that lizard feels about the rock sitting on, and how the rock feels to have the lizard sitting on him. He always asked himself hard questions that take a while to answer. So, can you see this lizard on the rock? Very small. We leaned against another rock a long time, and then he said, did you hear that? They like each other. I said I didn't hear a thing. He said, sometimes everything being right makes a kind of sound. Just like just now, it wasn't much more than a good feeling I heard from that old rock. Were you surprised to hear it? I always had to ask. He said, not a bit. It seemed like the most natural thing in the world. I said, I wish I'd heard it too. He said he thought I might someday. So there they are sitting and listening together. He told me how a friend of his once heard the whole sky full of stars when she was 7. And later on, when she was 83, she heard a cactus blooming in the dark. At first, she didn't know what she was hearing. She found it by following the sound. There were 20 flowers on one cactus, and they were all white as the moon. We can hear your bell too, huh? I said, I wonder why. He said, they just don't take the time you need for something that important. I said, I'll take the time, but first you have to teach me. I'd like to if I could, he said, but the thing is, you have to learn it from the hills, the ants, the lizards and weeds and things like that. They do the teaching around here. Just give me a clue, I said, on how to start. And so he said, do this. Go get to know one thing really well. It should be something small. Don't start with a mountain. Don't start with the whole Pacific Ocean. Start with one seed pod or one dry weed or one horned toad. I said, I'll take a sandy wash. He said he started with one tree. Every morning of his life when he was young, he climbed a cottonwood and sat there listening. He told me it was worth the time. He said trees are very honest and they don't care very much for fancy people. And he doesn't know anything he ever did as important as sitting in that tree. Tell me everything you can, I said. He said, well, you have to respect that tree or hill or whatever it is you're with. Take a horned toad, for example. If you think you're better than a horned toad, you'll never hear its voice, even if you sit in the sun forever. And he said, don't be ashamed to learn from bugs or sand or anything. I said, I won't. He thought of one thing more. It's good to walk with people, but sometimes go alone. That way, he said, you can always stop and listen at the right time. I'll remember everything I said, and I did. But nothing worked. I thought there must be something wrong with me because I only heard wind and quail and coyotes and doves, just things that anyone could hear. I almost gave up trying. Of course, I still went walking in my hills. In fact, I used to sing to them a lot. I thought that since they wouldn't sing to me, I'd just sing to them instead. The day I'm telling you about now, I was singing, and a whole song was this. Hello, hills, hello, hills, hello, hills, hello. That was after I had been away 5 days, and I had missed those hills for 5 days. I went out earlier than usual. You know how everything looks new at sunrise? Well, all those hills were looking new. I was just walking where I always walk. But that morning I kept thinking, here I am. And whatever way I happened to go was always right. I climbed the rocky side, not the path. The rocky side is steeper, but I like it best. And anyway, that's where I found my 3 hawk feathers. I stood at the top where I always stand looking down. Hello, hills, hello, hills, hello, hills, hello. All I know is suddenly, I wasn't the only one singing. The hills were singing too. I stopped. I didn't move for maybe an hour. I never listened so hard in all my life. He's listening. Of course, their kind of singing isn't loud. It isn't any sound you can explain. It isn't made with words. You can't write it down. All I can say is it came straight up from those dark, shiny lava rocks, humming. It moved around like the wind. It seemed to be the oldest sound in the world. All I can say is I was standing in the middle of that sound at 7 o'clock in the morning, just thinking, here I am, and thinking, listen, and not even being surprised. It seemed like the most natural thing in the world. Thank you all for listening.
Please turn to 517 in your gray hymnals for this responsive reading. I'll start it and you'll respond with the part that's in italics. I, who am the beauty of the green earth and the white moon among the stars and the mysteries of the waters, I call on your soul to arise and come unto me. For I am the soul of nature that gives life to the universe. From me all things proceed, and unto me they must return. Let my worship be in the heart that rejoices, for behold, all acts of love and pleasure are my rituals. And you who seek to know me, know that your seeking and yearning will avail you not unless you know the mystery. For behold, I have been with you from the beginning. Shall I? And now we're going to sing.
Actually, we're not going to use
there
the
you go.
hymnal. I actually learned this, it's a chant, it's not a round. I learned this a little bit differently, so we're not going to use the hymnal. But the words are the earth, the air, the fire, the water. And it goes like this, and you can sing along with me anytime you feel inclined, and we'll just keep going for a bit. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, return, return, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. One more time. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return.
This I believe. We are all brokenhearted. Everywhere I go these days, I hear echoes of heartbreak. The heartbreak of a damaged ecosystem seen in science news articles or felt in so many record-breaking hot days. The heartbreak of broken social systems, which we can see in the explosion of homeless camps, the desperation and heartbreak of a drug addiction epidemic, and an increasingly broken healthcare system. The heartbreak of a political system that is becoming more and more polarized. As a UU pagan, I would love to be able to raise my magic wand and cast a spell and fix it all. Alas, that is not how magic in the real world works. Let me explain a little bit about my spiritual beliefs. I wasn't formally raised as a Unitarian Universalist. I say not formally because my mother raised my sister and I to value exploring the world with curiosity. She helped us explore the key teachings from world religions and also teachings from science, which is all pretty much a UU upbringing. She just didn't know it at the time. My exploration led me to pagan spirituality. I found the teachings of Starhawk, which has formed the core of what I believe and how I live in the world. I believe the sacred is immanent. What does this mean? Starhawk says it well. Quote, "People often ask me if I believe in the goddess, and I reply, do you believe in rocks?" The phrase believe in implies itself that we cannot know the goddess, that she is somehow intangible, incomprehensible. But we do not believe in rocks. We know them. We connect with them. In the craft, we do not believe in the goddess. We connect with her through the moon, the stars, the ocean, the earth, through trees, animals, through other human beings, through ourselves. She is here. She is within us all. End quote. Pagan magic and ritual centers on the interconnected interdependence of all. People, rocks, planets, oceans, stars, universes. As our UU Article 2 says, the interdependent web of all existence. Everyone and all things are sacred. In pagan magic and theology, this centers on the elements earth, air, fire, water, and the fifth sacred thing, the element of spirit, that from which all else arises. We learn to navigate the world from the root of this sacred spirit, using the other elements as needed and called for. While the world is finite, when we live rooted in caring for each other and for the world, there is enough for everyone. This worldview believes in both and answers and makes it a priority to search for such inclusive solutions. This is at odds with our dominant culture, which is rooted in domination and oppression. This worldview would have us believe that there is not enough for everyone, and so we must fight each other in order to have what we need. This worldview believes in either-or answers and creates systems that pit individual needs against other individual needs, creating a fractured and isolated world, creating a broken world, a world of heartbreak.
Here I am, teetering on the edge of despair, balancing on the tip of hope. The emptiness and futility spreads out all around me, so deeply it stretches on without end, utterly overwhelming. What can I do but cling to the one small point I am on? With practice and hard work, with some luck, or perhaps more pertinently an avoidance of bad luck, I can survive. Me, just me. I don't see a way of making this point any larger, any more substantial. I do not have the money, the connections, the overt power this world thrives on to change anything, to save anyone. And if I did have that sort of power, then I would have it by being a part of the problem. And I would be spending my time trying to hold on to a different sort of small point. For the reality is that money and power over others does not give a larger purchase on the world, a larger point on which to stand. Those who have the power in this world and those who do not, all of us stand on isolated small pinpoints trying to keep our balance. We just see ourselves surrounded by different things. Those without see what they can never have. Those with see what they can lose. This is how the game is rigged. In a sense, it is based on equality. Everyone is kept equally off balance, equally vulnerable to the always present threat that anyone can become a without or become without more. The game thrives on isolation. Isolation breeds suspicion and cultivates competition. No one wants to be the one who slips off the point. No one wants to be dragged off by another, even if it is accidental. So the best strategy under these rules is to take other down before they take you down. Competition. So here I am, teetering on my pinpoint, trying to figure out a way to make this space bigger, a limited space, bounded by rules of the game. And I realize that what I need to do is learn to fly. That's by Nikki Hunt.
This I believe. To heal our broken world, we must heal our broken hearts. When I was 12, our next door neighbors had a lovely tall fruitless mulberry tree. It grew snugly up against their fence, which made it super easy for me to climb. I spent many hours up in the branches of that tree. Sometimes I would read, and yes, I dragged a book up there. But often I would just sit and listen. I listened with my ears, hearing the small, whispery sounds of the branches as they shifted against each other. But I also listened with my hands, feeling the grainy bark under my palms. And I listened with my nose, taking in the smell of leaves and dirt and blue sky. And I listened with my eyes, soaking up the many shades of green within each leaf. feeling held in my tree's branches, I would spend hours just listening. So when I first read The Other Way to Listen, I knew exactly what the old man meant about listening deeply. This also resonated with me because when I was growing up, my mom taught me to listen to other people not just with my ears. She told me that I needed to listen underneath their words. From a pagan perspective, this means listening begins from my sacred core, from that fifth sacred thing, spirit. And it is a vital part of feeling connected, feeling belonging. This place of spirit is also the place where magic comes from. In this world, magic is really about setting your intention, setting your will. Magic spells and magic rites are about aligning ourselves with that with which we want to manifest and pinning our will to that vision. Then we must work to bring that vision about. Vision without work will remain just a vision. Our world has become more and more polarized and more disconnected. The dominant paradigm has us all boxed into small, isolated spaces, locked into unavoidable competition for survival. We are rewarded when we follow the rules of either or and power over. And we are punished when we break these rules. In her book, Truth or Dare, Encounters with Power, Authority, and Mystery, Starhawk says, quote, both reward and punishment are dependent on a worldview that has destroyed immanent value, the sense of the sacred present in each of us. For when the sacred is present, all things have inherent value. But when value has to be earned, proven, it becomes a scarce commodity. End quote. When I listen to the news with my body's ears and eyes, so often I see things that hurt my heart and things that piss me off. I want to react out of this hurt and anger, which is understandable. We must take action if we want to transform the world. However, actions that arise out of hurt and anger alone end up spreading more hurt and anger. I would like to offer that instead of reacting to what our ears hear and our eyes see, that we first drop down into our sacred spirit and listen. Listen underneath. Listen deeply. What is the other person afraid of? Perhaps I share their fear. Where is their hurt? Perhaps I share their hurt. What are they hoping for? Perhaps I share their hope. Instead of reacting, can we learn to listen deeply and then respond with kindness, generosity, and compassion for ourselves and for others? I know this is a big ask. We live in a culture that undermines our inherent worth, which means there will be some days when we just can't listen deeply. There will be some situations that will be beyond our current capacity. We all need to take breaks. We all need to rest, which is why we don't do this work alone. I need to know that when I rest, there are others who continue the work. I want to offer one way we can cultivate listening deeply. It is also a way to make our value of interdependence more concrete. One of my favorite movies is called Mind Block. The whole movie is a conversation between a scientist, a politician, and a poet as they walk around Mont Saint-Michel in France. At one point, the scientist shares that quantum physics shows that at the atomic level, there is no separation between us. There is no separation between me and the podium and you and the chairs and you. We're all interconnected right now. However, saying that we believe we're interdependent and interconnected and that quantum physics proves that we're all interdependent is not the same thing as feeling that interdependence. Too often we youths get stuck up in our heads, analyzing and critiquing, which is important, but we also need to be able to feel it and live it. So now I want to invite you all to close your eyes for a minute. Take a deep breath in. Feel your feet on the floor, the weight of your legs on the chair. Feel your arms hanging from your shoulders. Smile and feel the muscles in your face move. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Now I invite you to pick up your hands, palms facing each other, without touching. Slowly move your hands apart and closer and see, can you feel that heat? Can you feel that energy between your hands? Now I invite you to open your eyes and turn to your neighbor and do the same thing with their palms. See if you can feel the energy and the heat. See how far away you can get and still feel it, how close you have to be. Now I invite you to sit back again and close your eyes one more time. Think about the energy you felt on your palms. Can you feel that energy between you and the people sitting around you? The people behind you? In front of you? You can open your eyes again. With practice, you can get better at sensing the energy of our interconnections, and it can be a great way to ground yourself into the deep listening that will help with responding instead of reacting. Audre Lorde said, "The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house." If we want to transform our current culture of dominance and division into a culture of collaboration and caring, we need to learn new tools. This is just one potential tool. I'd like to leave you with one more of my poems. This one is on how we might grow into a world our hearts dare to hope for. It's called Dancing Warriors of Light. We have been discussing bridges when perhaps what we need is dancing. Bridges are static, stable, with predictable beginnings and endings. Yes, bridges get us from here, a tumultuous, scary, mean, dangerous here, to there. And yet everything from here can follow us right over the bridge and sully the new there, dragging it back down to here yet again. What we need is a transport option that, by its very nature, transforms fear into love, cruel into kind, danger into compassion. We need a means of growing something that is new right from the very first germinating thought. Something that embraces and celebrates all the colors, something that leads from a place of both and, inclusion and unity. I am thinking dancing might be it. Flexible, fluid, flowing movement, creativity, spontaneity, strength, endurance, passion, perseverance despite despair, faith in the face of failure, love against all odds. Who better to lead us in such a dance than those who live in the margins and in the intersections? Warriors of light dancing us into a new world.
Each week, we take an offering to support the mission and the work of ROOF. Your contribution is immediately put to work for services like this one and other programs for our congregation, also for outreach in our community and beyond. If you are joining us online, you can mail your gift to 87 4th Street, Ashland, Oregon, 97520. To give online, go to tinyurl.org/RVUUF offering and follow the instructions there. To give by text, simply text $, and the amount you'd like to donate. to 541-229-4229. And we're now giving and receiving the morning offering. For these gifts and all you bring to our congregation and the world, thank you.
We get to sing one more time. Our closing hymn today is number 354, We Laugh, We Cry. Again, the choir is going to help you out by turning and singing with you, and I'm going to play a little intro for you. Oops. Where was I going to start? Let's see.
Feel the
I want to close with the words by Sarah Durham Wilson. The way you alchemize a soulless world into a sacred world is by treating everyone as if they are sacred until the sacred in them remembers. As you go out into the world today, may you remember that you are sacred, and may you listen for the sacred in each person you meet. Merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. The circle is open but not broken.